Welcome. Before we begin our next chapter of Exodus, let's reach out to the heavenlies for a blessing for the prayer, mankind and creatures alike. Et conegerunt illum dicentes mane nobiscum Domine quoniam et vesperascit Alleluia. Sorrow has filled your heart, and your joy no man shall take from you. Hallelujah. Remember that. When you're walking with the power of your blessed Father, and your belief and faith in Him was like our early Christian martyrs who by the millions were crucified. Yeah, they were scared. Children, parents, but they stuck together because of what the apostles initiated by way of Peter and the rest. And those 500 who would witness that incredible event that's coming up, being his ascension, incredible Pentecost. No man can take your faith away from you, your conviction, your strength. Only if you fall into the realm of following man do you feel guilty, or do you feel your punishment is justified. Man cannot do that to you. And I know this. I have been judged by man in America. And they've been wrong about me for as long as I can remember. So be that to you as well. All right, let's begin the 38th chapter of Exodus. And again, we have some more construction going on. As promised last time, we're going to begin with the altar of Holocaust. And this incredible altar, guess what it was made out of? Its base was made of, once again, setim. Now, this is not square, all right? But it's a little thing that I can show you as an altar. Try to imagine this as a square, which would be like that much. Which means, once again, the four angles are equal. The lines are equal for square. Now, on this altar, its dimensions were specific. It was 5 cubits. 5 cubits long each side. And in height, 3. So the square of 5 cubits with 3 in height, 3 forearms high, and the horns. Horns on each of the 4 corners. And these horns, they were carved with plates, not of gold, but of brass, which shows you a divinity not as high as Elohim, but a lower realm. Gold representing QUI, brass representing those angels and those other heavenlies that works beside him as messengers and announcers and miracle executors. With the specific knowledge and skills, to me, it's axiomatic that Moses continues writing of the master ingenuity that was laid out, executed by Bezalel and his helper Uliab. And all these were that we discussed from the previous epistle. Now, inside this exquisite altar of Holocaust, there were certain things that were prepared of brass, because they were to be used, for example, with this altar, for example, the vessels, cauldrons, tongues, the flesh hooks, pot hooks, and fire pans. And now we move on to this grate. Now this grate once again, great, but this was made out of brass. And the way this works, what happened to our altar? Oh, Come on, bunny. Watch yourself. Keep stepping on the rabbit. So this grate is going to be beneath the altar, so you can walk on. And there's other things that these grates are used for. This one is going to be used for, I'm going to get to it in a second, but the ashes will fall through, blood will fall through, wherever grates are, their uses are specific. So on this one, we're looking at this. So this particular net made of brass grate, and it's under the altar. Under the altar is a fireplace, a hearth, and there's 4 rings at as many tops of the net to put in the bars to carry it. So you're going to have this fireplace, then above the fireplace you have this net, this grate. And you have these rings on the top of it so you can put bars through it. Once again, nothing's going to be touched by man, even when it comes time to sacrifices and ashes and blood and what have you. It is to be carried with these wooden poles plated, made out of satin. But these, to carry this grate, they weren't made out of, they weren't plated with gold. Everything here is plated with brass. So they're covered with plates of brass, and the poles go through the rings that stood out at the sides of the altar. The altar itself, it wasn't massy, meaning, if you can see the edges of this, see how this metal is massy? So try to imagine this as wood. This was all carved out. So this was much lighter, and it was hollowed. So we have a hollowed altar here. Much better than my drawing, so. Remember the lavers? They're used to wash the hands and the feet. There was also one in here, obviously for this incredible altar. And it was made of brass, as well as the foot, and of woman's glasses that watched in the door of the tabernacle. Do you know what this means? Hebrew women, listen to me now, Hebrew women acted as watchers, servers. They did this at the entry of the tabernacle. This was the women's function for this particular part of the tabernacle. They had serving trays. These serving trays were made of mirrors, so to speak. And Bezalel used these to prop up the laver. So if you can add this to the fact, if you can add to this, jeez, if you can add to this, please do. But this is pretty much what I have for you ladies and girls. These watchers, understand, these watchers were very devout women. And it seemed the same custom of these watchers continued even until the time of our Savior. And I quote out of Luke, "For Anna, the widow, observed this state of life." Yeah. See how blessed and strong so many of these women are, not following the realms of man, saying, "Oh, I'm equal to man, I can do what man can do." It was just, that never entered into play. Everybody had to function with the state of Elohim, and it made it so beautiful. And Solomon, you're going to learn, he capitalized this, and that's why he created the most powerful nation on this planet, because so many other nations both feared and admired his wisdom that they didn't dare cross him. That's why this was the only time on Terra during Solomon's reign, you're going to learn, peace. Peace overwhelmed the globe. Can you imagine Terra without any conflicts or wars? So don't believe these analogs of people saying America's the strongest nation because of might. Who cares about might? Christ showed what he did to might, huh? So might is a man thing. It's temporal. And if you want to fall into the trap, that's your choice. I'm telling you, it's a trap. It's a man-led acknowledgement, and there's a much better way. Moses also made the court of the gathering, where people had gathered. And this was done on the south side. There were hangings of twisted silk. And these hangings, incredibly, were 100 cubits long. 20 pillars of brass. With the heads, with their feet, and the heads of the pillars, and the whole graving were done in silver. So you have these poles made of brass, but the tops and the bottoms and the gravings were all of silver. Again, the combination of the metals showing the unification of Elohim with his heavenlies and reaching out to man as well. Well, let's discuss the south side for a second. Negeb becomes an area of southern Israel, Negeb, N-E-G-E-B, but the term is generally used to indicate south, Negeb, south. The Hebrew linear text reads this, and he made the court to the south side of the Negeb. To the south, the hangings of the court were bleached twined linen, 100 by the cubit. South side, Negeb. When we next meet, let's go over the north side. Until then, don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Your leaders, they're in desperate need of help because they keep falling into the traps of the leaderships of man. What they should be following is a leadership of a peaceful way. And that's done through your Creator. And there's only one. Till next we meet, Pax Vobis.